The MediShield Life Amendment Bill 2024 introduces several changes to the MediShield Life framework to adjust premium structures, enhance administrative powers, and improve affordability of healthcare coverage. I would like to seek some clarifications on several areas that may impact Singaporeans financially and administratively. Clause 11 amends Section 34 of the Act, which grants the Minister broad powers to make regulations, including determining premium rates for different classes of insured persons. MediShield Life premium subsidies now consider both per capita household income and the annual value of one's residence. The AV tiers provide the highest subsidy to lower income insured persons living in properties with AVs of up to $21,000 and a reduced subsidy for AVs between $21,000 and $25,000, while AVs above $25,000 will receive no subsidy, unless they are from the Pioneer or Merdeka generation. This criteria could present a financial challenge for some low-income or no-income households, particularly retirees living in private property and are born in 1960 or later. These individuals may face rising medical bills, yet do not qualify for premium subsidies due to the property they live in. Many of these elderly Singaporeans are unlikely to downsize their homes, especially if they are currently suffering from serious illnesses. The physical and emotional disruption of relocating during a vulnerable period is impractical and could worsen their health conditions. For retirees and other low-income households, I urge the government to consider removing AV as a means testing criteria. Minimally, those with AV above $25,000 should be allowed to apply for premium subsidies, and a holistic and transparent assessment should be made based on their individual circumstances. This approach will allow the scheme to target subsidies more effectively towards those who genuinely lack cash flow for their healthcare needs. Clause 5 grants the Minister flexibility to set premium rates through prescribed means, possibly via online publications. Although this change could streamline the process, I have some concerns about the stability and predictability of premium rates. Policyholders, especially those with lower incomes, rely on consistent healthcare costs to plan their finances. Frequent premium adjustments could challenge their ability to budget effectively. Will the government establish a regular schedule for premium adjustments? And if not, how much advance notice will policyholders receive to prepare for changes? This will provide policyholders with more transparency and predictability regarding their healthcare expenses. Clause 4 grants the Minister discretion to approve medical institutions and the treatments they offer as eligible for MediShield Life claims. Although this change may help manage costs, it could also limit access to necessary care if certain treatments or institutions do not receive approval. Unapproved services might force policyholders to pay out of pocket, discouraging them from seeking essential treatment. Could the MOS clarify if the criteria for approving medical services and a complete list of approved services and institutions will be published regularly? This will help policyholders to make informed healthcare choices and avoid unexpected costs. Additionally, does the amendment allow the Minister to designate traditional Chinese medicine and other traditional medical practices as approved medical treatments in the future? Many Singaporeans rely on TCM and other traditional practices for managing chronic conditions and maintaining overall health. Clause 6 broadens the scope of offences related to false or misleading information in health declarations, means declarations, or claims. This amendment aims to deter fraud, but it may disproportionately impact elderly or less tech-savvy policyholders who may make honest mistakes in their submissions. What are the provisions for rectifying minor or first-time errors, especially for vulnerable groups? Establishing a grace period or correction mechanism could prevent harsh penalties for honest mistakes, particularly for seniors unfamiliar with digital processes. Clause 9 allows the government to use means information to assess eligibility and support recovery actions for outstanding premiums. Although this approach may ensure targeted resource allocation, it could place additional pressure on low-income policyholders. Aggressive recovery actions, if based primarily on financial data, could create financial stress for households already struggling to meet healthcare costs. Will the government provide safeguards like automatic premium loans or deferred payment options to protect financially vulnerable policyholders and help them maintain coverage without incurring penalties? And will these policyholders lose coverage if they still fail to pay their premiums? Clause 10 introduces electronic methods for serving official documents, including email, which may improve efficiency. However, policyholders who are less comfortable with digital platforms might miss important updates, potentially leading to unintended coverage lapses or penalties. Does the government offer additional communication methods such as phone calls or in-person notifications to ensure all policyholders receive and understand crucial information? Mr. Deputy Speaker, this bill seeks to enhance the MediShield Life framework, but these changes must not place unnecessary burdens on those who rely on the scheme the most. For low-income households, I urge MOH to review the use of AV as a criteria for means testing, so that retirees and those with limited cash flow can receive subsidies based on their actual financial need. So I support the bill, but I look forward to the MOH's reply to my questions.
Mr. Yip Hon Wing, Ms. Jessica Tan and Mr. Gerald Giam ask how lower-income individuals who are living in or owning properties with high annual value or AV will be supported. It is true that such individuals receive lower means-tested premium subsidies on account of their higher AV properties. This is because those who live in properties with a higher AV would generally be better off than those who live in properties with a lower AV. While this approach is not perfect, it strikes a balance between being more precise in assessing applicants' means while keeping the process simpler for most applicants. However, the government periodically reviews the eligibility criteria for subsidies so that Singaporeans with greater needs can continue to receive the support they require. For instance, the AV thresholds were recently raised this year. With this, those staying in or owning these lower value private properties can still qualify for premium subsidies. Those who need more help or are facing extenuating circumstances may appeal for more assistance, which would be assessed on a case-by-case basis. Let me assure members that no one will lose MediShield Life coverage due to an inability to pay premiums. Mr. Gerald Giam spoke about the criteria for approval of medical institutions. This framework will allow the Ministry of Health to continue safeguarding and ensuring the appropriate use of MediShield Life monies while maintaining a clear and robust framework for managing medical institutions participating under the scheme. For instance, to be approved, the medical institution will need to have a valid license issued under the Healthcare Services Act 2020. The scope of the medical institution's approval under the scheme is also tied to the specific licensable healthcare services that it is authorized to provide by its license, as well as their respective service delivery modes. The key appointment holders of the medical institution, as well as any medical practitioner that is employed or engaged to provide the approved medical treatment or services in that medical institution, must also not be found to be in breach of certain requirements, such as being convicted of an offence involving fraud or dishonesty. The Ministry of Health may also impose conditions of approval, which could include requiring the medical institution to ensure that MediShield Life claims are submitted in accordance with the relevant claim rules. Mr. Gerald Giam also raised concern that some Singaporeans with complex circumstances may face difficulties paying premiums, and this is precisely why we are creating this avenue to allow for a more calibrated approach. I would like to assure members that the intent of this amendment is not to withhold subsidies and support from Singaporeans. On the contrary, it is meant to help Singaporeans by ensuring that premium enforcement measures are targeted at those who have more means, while calibrating enforcement measures for those who have less means. Means information is used to derive per capita household income, or PCHI. This is aligned to many other government schemes that differentiate subsidies based on PCHI to ensure that resources are targeted at those who need more support. We acknowledge members' concern that this may not differentiate retired seniors with different financial situations, including those who are asset-rich and cash-poor. This is why we have additional premium support, APS, which serves as a discretionary safety net to give support to those who may have fallen through the cracks and face genuine difficulty affording their premiums. Eligibility for APS is assessed holistically with appeals considered on a case-by-case basis, taking into consideration the unique social and financial circumstances and needs of individuals. Individuals receiving APS will have their outstanding premiums as well as premiums for the next 2 policy years fully covered. Premium enforcement would not apply to them. For individuals who do not qualify for APS, we will exercise flexibility for those with extenuating circumstances on a case-by-case basis. For instance, we may delay premium enforcement until their financial circumstances improve. If some require a longer time to pay their premiums, they may contact the CPF board, which oversees premium collection, to work out an installment payment plan. For premium enforcement, we work with the MediShield Life Council on detailed criteria as well as the appeal guidelines for cases at the margins to ensure enforcement does not unfairly penalise such groups. Let me take the chance here to reiterate that no one will lose their MediShield Life coverage due to an inability to pay premiums. Besides refining provisions to support premium recovery efforts, we are also making some amendments to clarify and strengthen existing administrative processes. One such amendment is allowing the MediShield Life premium schedule to be specified on a website rather than in legislation. Mr. Gerald Giam spoke about the stability and predictability of premium rates. The premiums are already published on the website today, and we have also given advance notice for the next policy cycle. It's actually a 3 years worth of premiums in the press release and also in the Council's report. To also address another administrative point that Mr. Gerald Giam raised on individuals who unknowingly provide false or misleading information, actually such conduct do not amount to an offence under the Act. In addition, we fully acknowledge the need to help Singaporeans, especially our seniors, understand the key healthcare policies such as MediShield Life and changes that are made to them from time to time. So in addition to the ongoing efforts to raise awareness and improve public understanding of MediShield Life, MOH is also working closely with various community partners like grassroots leaders, Silver Generation ambassadors to engage Singaporeans on the recent changes to MediShield Life. Such efforts allow us to reach more citizens, including seniors, and ensures that no one is left behind.
Thank the MOS for responding to my questions. I just have 2 main clarifications. First, the MOS assured us that earlier that no one would lose MediShield Life coverage due to an inability to pay premiums. But however, how about policyholders who miss payments for reasons such as ineligibility for premium support despite appeals, missed reminders, or other issues? Are there any circumstances under which they could lose MediShield Life coverage due to a failure to pay premiums? Secondly, does the bill allow the minister to designate TCM providers as approved providers for the purpose of MediShield Life claims if they meet the accreditation criteria for TCM practitioners, which I understand from the minister this morning during question time will be ready next year? I know MOS provided a list of conditions in her response just now, but it's not clear if it potentially includes TCM.
I thank member for the query. In respect of the second question first, I just want to add that the MediShield Life scheme is something that we review, and its coverage is something that we will continue to monitor and assess. So this is something that will allow for us to continue look at it, and if it meets the criteria, it would be something that the minister would be able to include. This is something that is on a regular basis that we will look at. On the assurance, actually we try very hard to ensure that people will not lose their coverage because of that. But as I explained, the whole thinking behind this is that there are defaulters who actually there's 1% of those that we are not able to recover from, and we just want to ensure that out of this, the people who are doing it out of just not wanting to comply and not wanting to actually make payment are then caught out. But for those who are actually in really dire circumstances, the processes that I've earlier mentioned will be able to catch them and will ensure that there will be some support given in the event they really cannot pay because of the difficulties.